5 minutes to ceasefire, 5 minutes to ceasefire.
No!
Alright guys, CZ75D PCR compact. We're going to do some test firing, some 115 grain full metal jacket, and we're going to try out some of this Wolf 9mm full metal jacket. Just see how we do. We're set up here at 21 feet or 7 yards, and let's try her out. Alright, so that was pretty good for semi-rapid fire. Most of them stayed within the 8 ring. I had 1 on the line, 2 just to the left. And the one thing I will say, shooting this cellular 115 grain, it shoots a little bit hotter than the Cabela's brand Herders, which is supposedly from the same factory. But this ammo seems to shoot a little bit hotter, feels a little bit more snappy. So I'm going to slow it down here and see what we can do. Again, that was pretty good. I'll post targets on, or I'll show you guys the targets when I put my review vid together. But again, shooting semi-rapid, I'm a little high, a little low. Still trying to figure out trigger finger placement, pull, all that kind of stuff. So still trying to figure it out, but right now I really like this pistol. So let's try some of the Wolf 115 full metal jacket, and we'll see how this does. Load up 10 rounds. We'll see if it's as dirty as they say it is. But for the price, for 500 rounds of this stuff, for plinking ammo, it's really hard to beat. So let's see how we do here. Let's do another 10, because that first 10, my first 4 or 5 shots were pretty impressive, and my second 5 shots started to wander a little bit. So let's load up another 10, and I'm going to try really hard to concentrate on my shots and not go crazy. I don't know if you guys can see me. So that group of 10 was a lot better. I can see that already. It was a lot tighter. So again, I just have to work on trigger placement, pull, being that this is Decocker, so. Uh-oh. What's up, everybody? Sloppy Joe here. So I'm gonna do a quick review now that I've had a chance this past week to put a couple hundred rounds, different varieties of ammo through my CZ75D compact PCR. And I say PCR because when I bought this, I didn't even realize it was a PCR. And what that means is that makes this gun extra special, super cool, because two reasons. Number one, they're pretty rare and hard to come by these days. And number two, the PCR is what is called the Police Czech Republic. And what that means is that this pistol, the lower frame from here down, is an aluminum alloy versus a steel frame. So what you end up with is a pistol that runs, I think, around 1.4 pounds, somewhere in there. It's about a half a pound lighter than the all-steel version. And that is evidenced when you break the gun down and actually look inside the slide, which I'll do for you now. The pistol is empty. So, of course, with these, to take them down, line up your little marks, pop your pin. There we go. Pop out the slide. And you can see here, so CZ does not paint or put this coating on the inside. And once you take it down and look at it and actually feel it and really pay attention to how light this is, you figure out real quick, yeah, it is. It's aluminum alloy. Now with the PCR pistols, there's no external markings that say PCR. You just kind of have to know what you're looking for. And when you break it down, you see that this is an aluminum alloy. It's pretty cool. I came across this gun completely by accident. I saw that it was a compact, and I'd been hunting for an actual CZ compact for a while, and couldn't find one. And I wasn't going to order one online because you end up paying transfer fees, taxes, etc. I figured eventually I'd stumble across one local, which I did. Ended up being this PCR. And now, having shot a couple hundred rounds through it, I will say this has replaced my SP01s as my favorite pistols and my favorite CZ. This is it's such a fun gun to shoot. You know, I have a lot of fun shooting AKs. This pistol for me is like shooting an AK. It's just so much fun. It's not as, I wouldn't say it's as accurate as a full-size 75 or SP01, but it is a lot of fun. And with it being a little bit lighter weight, it's a little bit more snappy on the recoil, which is kind of fun, especially shooting the 115 grain bullets. I'm sure if you slow it down and shoot the heavier hollow points, things like that, the gun would not be as snappy. So that's good to know. And but shooting the 115, it's a lot of fun. It's not terrible recoil. You'll see it in some of the shooting vids, but it's a lot of fun. The pistol is great. Everything feels good. The only thing that took a little getting used to was the Decocker trigger. So this is a Decocker gun. So with the Decocker, you end up with a few other springs and mechanisms that you have to work your way through until the hammer snaps. But after a couple hundred rounds, I've pretty much figured out where the take up and the snap or the trigger break is. And now it's become pretty predictable. I know where it's going to break. And it's all very positive. It's not terribly vague. I've heard some people describe Decocker triggers as vague. I wouldn't say vague. It's just a little less not predictable. That's not the word. It's a little less positive feeling. But it's very predictable. You get a feel for when it's going to go. A couple cool features on the gun. The gun, I don't have a dummy round, but the pistol, if you look right here, you have this little silver dot. It has a loaded chamber indicator. So when there is a chamber or a loaded round in the chamber, this little silver dot actually pops up just a little bit above the top of the frame or top of the slide. And visually you can see it, and physically you can feel it. So just for a quickly looking at the pistol, you can tell if you have a round chambered, which is pretty cool because I have a tendency with my other pistols, I will, take it, rack the slide ever so slightly, and just to see if there's a round chambered. This, you can tell right away, and I think it's also a nice little feature to have for safety. You're not messing with a live round and checking and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. The gun itself, there's not a lot to say about it other than it's a phenomenal pistol. It's a CZ. I really like CZs. And I wasn't sure I was going to like it as a compact, but it really blew me away just how good the pistol is. Again, not the most accurate thing for me. I myself, I'm not the best pistol shooter anyway. I'm adequate at best. But CZs have always made me a better pistol shooter. And typically I don't like shooting compact or smaller pistols. I see that they become more and more, you lose accuracy the smaller you get, it seems. But this did real well. It's called a compact. I would probably say it's definitely more of a mid-sized pistol. Compact is something I would think you could really pocket easily. This is definitely going to be something you holster, whether inside the waist or outside. With its thickness being definitely over an inch, it might be a outside the waistband gun. I have to do some test fitting with holsters to see if it's going to be comfortable at all to carry inside a waistband, or if it's going to drive me crazy. But the pistol itself, it's phenomenal. It's a shame that there's not more of them available online. what gets me is that, so I found the pistol by chance thinking it was just a regular compact, and I paid regular compact money. I paid $430 for this pistol. Now, when I look at PCRs and I try to find them online, they go for maybe $50, $75, $100 more. Brand new, I know they're quite a bit more. So I just think the shop owner didn't know what he had. I think he just thought he had a regular run-of-the-mill all-steel compact, not a PCR. So it was a good find for me, very lucky, and I'm happy I have it. This is a great pistol. So talking a little bit about the shooting, I did some indoor range shooting, and when I did the indoor range, I shot some of this Herder's, which is the Cabela's private label 115 grain, which is made in the same factory as the Cellular and Bellet. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that. Cellular and Bello. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it says on the box it's made in the same factory. I shot this indoors. I shot this outdoors. I found the factory labeled stuff to be more accurate, number one, and number two, I found it to be a little snappier. It seemed like it had a little bit more punch to it than this stuff. So it could be that this is maybe loaded a little hotter, maybe. This didn't perform badly, but for coming from the same factory, they felt a little different. So indoors, again, I shot this, and I shot some PMC Bronze 124 grain. Because my understanding is the CZ pistols are shot and built around NATO rounds, which would be 124 grain. So I did a little shooting with that, and I actually found this to be the least accurate of the 4 different types that I shot. The fourth being some Wolf Polyformance 115 grain full metal jacket. I actually found this to be fairly accurate. I had one hang up where the bullet, the nose of the bullet, because at this point the pistol was so dirty, I hadn't cleaned it. The feed ramp was a little bit gummed up. Basically, the one round hit the feed ramp and just kind of got stuck and held up on all the carbon and all the junk I'd been shooting. I wiped it off, and after that, it performed fine. It was no big deal. So I wouldn't say it was necessarily an ammo issue so much as the gun was just filthy because I'd been shooting it. This is dirty shooting ammunition. I will say that. It felt good. It felt snappy. It performed fine. It was adequately accurate. It was just dirty. The inside of the pistol after shooting 50 rounds of this, it was pretty dirty. My right arm, which is my strong arm, the top of my arm from my wrist to my elbow, it had all kinds of black grit, carbon, probably burned up gunpowder residues, things like that. Just kind of it looked like someone sprinkled pepper all over the top of my arm. It was pretty gross. So this is pretty dirty shooting, and it's evidenced by the inside of the pistol and my arm, but it performed very well. I was actually surprised. So looking at some targets real quick, this is from the first day I shot the pistol indoors. This is 10 yards out. Full metal jacket on this side, 115 grain. This is 124 grain on this side. And as you can see, with the 124 grain, this is my first 10 rounds out of the pistol. The first 5 shots are right here, well off center. I thought maybe something was wrong with the sights. I thought there's no way I could be shooting that far off to the left, but it was me. Once I figured out the trigger, where to keep my finger, and really the pull and snap of the trigger, I started dialing it in back into normal. So the next 5 shots were all close to center. And here's 10 more rounds, 124 grain. With the 124 grain, I tended to shoot either high or to the left, which you can see here obviously is left. Here you can see high and left, and some in the middle. The 115 grain, this is actually 20 rounds. But there's 20 rounds all basically in the black. And here's another 10. All of them in the black except for this one flyer. It always seems like when I try really hard on that last shot, you pull a flyer. I don't know why that is. But for me, for 10 yards, that's adequate. I'll take that any day of the week. This is the second target I shot. Again, 115 grain on this side, 124 on this side. You can see with the 124, it's a little bit more of a spray pattern. With the 115, there's 9 shots right here, and then the 10th right there. And then the same at the bottom. You know, kind of pretty tight with the 124, but a couple off target, if you will, or off center. And then 115 grain again. This one I think I started getting a little familiar and getting a little bit more rapid in my firing. But still, pretty good for 10 yards for me. I'll take that again. So outdoors, this was outdoors, let's see. So if I remember this correctly, I went wolf is on the my right-hand side, your left-hand side, and the cellular ammo is on this side. So you can see both of them perform very adequately. I didn't have a lot of time left in the day, so I didn't set up multiple targets to shoot. So I just I shot off a rest just to go for ultimate accuracy. And some of those shot real nice and tight groups. And mostly I was just shooting semi-rapid fire because I was just having a lot of fun with the pistol. And you can see, I mean, I think this was my first target of the day. And again, when my first rounds of the day, I was kind of off and to the left. And that was, of course, until I figured out again, okay, I got to keep my trigger finger here. Here's where the snap is. And once I got comfortable, it got better. And I just had a lot of fun with it. You can see this was at 25 feet. And you can see the wolf down in here. I mean, I was just shooting the wolf real nicely. It shot really good for what it is. And then over here, I think this is the last rounds I shot in the day. And I just loaded up the mags and just kind of went wild with it. Just shot real semi-rapid fire. I wouldn't say full rapid, but semi-rapid. And just trying to get more comfortable with squeezing the trigger faster, getting my point of aim back on my target faster, and just having fun with it. So again, I had one hang up with the wolf after shooting. I had already shot 50 rounds of this and had shot about 30 rounds of this, and then I had the one hang up on a really filthy feed ramp. So I'm not going to say that's the gun's fault. I will say the ammo is dirty and probably attributed to that. So going on from there, I was more than pleased with the pistol. I can't wait to get a holster for it and put it into my everyday carry rotation. It's a fabulous gun. It's even more fabulous by the fact that I found it by chance and I underpaid quite a bit for it. The only thing I am going to do to this pistol is I may replace the rear sight to move, so set it up with a sight that's going to move the sight itself to the back of the frame, just to increase the sight radius that extra ½ inch. I think, especially for me, my eyes are not that great. I do wear corrective lenses. My depth perception is not very good, and any help I can get, I will take, especially if it's a matter of throwing on a $50 or $60 rear sight to make this pistol even better. I'll do it. So other than that, the pistol, if it just functioned flawlessly, it's a great pistol, great feel. It's a CZ. You know, for me, I have medium to large size hands, and the pistol, it feels like it was sculpted to my hand. The way they shaped this back strap into the beaver tail, everything, your hand rides nice and high, but you don't run into any issues with potential hammer bite or anything like that, because your hand is high and tight, but nothing is going to get close enough to the webbing of your hand or your thumb or your index knuckle to where it's going to affect you. I mean, that's as high as my hand's going to get, and that makes it great because with the frame, with the slide riding in the frame, you have a nice low bore. Your sights are really easy to read. it just makes for a very, very complimentary gun for your shooting, especially if you're not a strong pistol shooter like I am. These have made me really renew my faith in shooting pistols. Generally, I go to the range, shoot rifles, and go home, just because shooting pistols usually frustrates me. But getting into the CZs the way I have, and even the 10 millimeter EAA Witness, which is very much a beefed up copy of a CZ. They've really renewed my interest in pistols. After I bought my first CZ, I went crazy from there and bought several more. So I'd been looking for one of these in just a standard compact, and I was thrilled that just by chance I happened upon a PCR. So that's all good. I'll just, good luck on me. So that's great. So in closing, I'll just say these are great pistols. I hate to say I'm becoming kind of a fanboy of CZ, but I am. Even though I will say a customer of mine was talking about purchasing his first pistol, and I recommended him a Glock 19, just because I think I think Glocks are great. I don't like them that much, but I know for a lot of people who just want their first gun, they just want something that's going to work, be no nonsense. So Glocks are great for that. They're pretty indestructible as well. So, but for me, CZs, I love them. I fall in love with them more and more the more I shoot them. So, it's a rockin' pistol. If you can get your hands on a PCR with the alloy frame, great. If you can't, a regular steel frame is fine, especially if you want one in the PO1 model, which will have an integrated rail built into the frame, so you can mount lights, lasers, things like that. So that's cool too. They just get in the way of a holster, I believe. So for me, just having a standard frame gun is fine. Great pistol. I'd recommend it to anybody, and that's it. So get out and shoot, guys. I will have I'll have a video review of my first AR build that I did. I finally got a chance to shoot it, and I'll give some impressions on that because that's the first AR I've ever really fired and shot. I've been an AK guy for a long, long time. So anyway, we'll follow up with that. That's it for now. If you have any comments, questions, anything specific about this, the ammo I used, whatever, shoot me a comment, and I will do my best to get back to you. So thanks, guys. Tune in. We'll talk to you later.
Spend another half an hour doing this.
So you gotta load it.
Well, we don't want to put the out here. Brian, right? That is such a money.